Let's start this over again. So I figured I would show you this. Anchor was doing a deal on Twitter, and I just decided to check their page by chance. And you're like, oh, we're looking for podcasts to maybe feature on a thing or whatever. I know they're not going to pick mine, but I said, fuck it. Because they said, oh, if it's a good fit, we'll let you know. Yeah, alright. I believe you. But, whatever. I don't care. It's a good thing that I know. I know that I'm not. I'd rather not be mainstream and be comfortable than try to appeal to everybody and reach nobody. But they sent me this and they said, in the meantime, check this out. Grow your podcast audience. Alright. So, it's no surprise that the question we receive most often from podcasters: how do I grow my audience? Since podcast discovery is largely dependent on word of mouth, gathering new listeners can feel like a difficult task. That's why we put together these tips for growing your audience, because whether you've had a show for a little while or are just starting out, everyone deserves a chance to be heard. And they know what my thing is, dude. Because these are my stats. I mean, of course they are. Who the fuck else do you know is in America, the UK, Canada, Australia, Sweden, France, and Belgium? Me, motherfucker, that's who. Across all platforms: Android, Windows, Mac, iPhone. We're not fucking playing around, man. So, this will be interesting, because when I first started, before I started doing the podcast, I read up on this shit. How do you do this? How do you grow? What do you do? And I read a lot of the beginning paragraph of this. Before you commit to any particular growth strategy, try to narrow down your intended audience. In case part of you thinking my podcast is for everyone, keep in mind that the key to growing your listeners is to find your niche. Instead of casting a wide net and trying to appeal to as many people as possible, pinpoint the unique value of what your podcast brings to the world and consider the audience who is most likely to listen to your show. I don't know who you are. I don't know who you are. I know where you are. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you're into. I have no idea. So, that's still a mystery to me, even though people do listen. I don't know why. What brought them in? Did somebody hip them to it? Was it something they came across the YouTube, the Twitter, the Instagram, the newly made Facebook page? I don't know. But let's continue reading this, because that sentence used to aggravate the shit out of me. Like, okay, how am I supposed to find a niche in something I don't even know? I don't know what's niching. You know what I mean? I don't know what the fuck does that even mean. Find what stands out. Well, dude, look, I figured, you know what? I'm just gonna be myself. And if it catches, it catches. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Simple as that. Now, where was I at? Yeah, bring to the world, consider people listening. Okay. The more specific your topic is, the easier it will be to identify and appeal to your audience. If your podcast is devoted to unpacking episodes of your favorite sitcom, go after audiences with similar tastes in TV. If your show switches topics, genres, and tones, you might want to narrow in and focus on in order to attract consistent listeners. Yeah, but I feel like if you do that, it gets boring. I feel like part of the appeal, and I know this goes against every marketing strategy in the world right now, but I think part of the appeal is that you don't know where it's going to go. Because I don't know where it's going to go until we get in the car and we start going. Then we figure it out. You know, it's not a great strategy to have, but it keeps it from being boring to me. And to be honest with you, I'm just a girl in the world. I still don't know the rest of the goddamn lyrics to that song. And I'll talk about shit that the theme to this podcast is my life and my view on things. And it's a very, I'm sure it's not a unique view. Like anybody, I'm sure you can find an opinion that's similar to mine anywhere on the internet. Right? But what makes it different is the way I go about doing it, ingraining sound effects and shit into it. And I talk about things that a lot of people try to stay away from. Because we're all having these conversations in our houses behind closed doors with our friends or our family. So for me to sit here and pretend like we don't have conversations about everyday shit is ridiculous, right? And we're not industry. This is the other thing too, is, you know, we're in our own way over here. We understand that we don't fit in with everybody else, and you know what? That's fine. We've accepted it, and we're happy where we are. Research your audience. In what part of the world do they live? What are their interests? What other podcasts do they listen to? Anchor's built-in analytics can help you track down the demographic data, trends in your current listeners. But dig as deep as you can and put yourself in the mind of your audience. Most importantly, find out where they tend to exist online. Do they use social media platforms? Do they follow particular hashtags or subreddits? Figure out where your audience already engages and will help you to reach them. Well, contrary to Anchor's belief, I don't know what any of you are into, dude. I know where you are, and that's it. And I know we've done this before, and every day I go to click on the web, and every day I click the fucking marketplace, whatever the fuck it's called. The store. Alright, here we go. Here we go. Look at that dip. Dead. So, alright. Now, where is this? How is this helpful? We were in a bunch of places. Now we're not in a bunch of places anymore. We're not in Bulgaria anymore. Switzerland. Georgia. Where the hell is that? Whatever that place is. India, Canada. We lost everybody. And 2% in the UK. We lost. Okay, so we click on it. And now we see these places. And that's as far as it goes. That doesn't tell me anything about what else are they listening to. 2% on Anchor. That's a lot better. It used to be no percent on Anchor. So I know, the only thing I know about my audience is that they... What is the other? Because it used to be, the iPhone used to dominate device use. I guess not so much anymore. So I'm not sure. I know a small percentage of my base, whatever you'd call it, is on YouTube, but again, not helpful. Learn how to spend, invest, and earn for today's world with whatever your name is. I can't pronounce that. Do the compelling stories and conversation with experts. Listen to Money Talk on Spotify. Well, I don't do any of that. That's what you're pushing? I wasted my time with this tweet. I can tell you that right now. He must have got a deal. Because you're on launch, they're pushing you on Spotify. You must have caught a deal, dude. I don't have that. I'm gonna have to do this shit for 20 years before anybody even think about doing something. But that's fine. Connect with your listeners. Once you've identified your audience, it's time to bridge the gap and reach out to them. Yeah, but I haven't identified them, though. I hate how they push this narrative and this conversation. Oh, you found all of your people. No, I haven't. I don't know anything about them. What do you mean posting? Alright, I'm getting ahead of the article. Hold on. Start by creating a dedicated social media accounts for your podcast. I've already done that. On Twitter, @LaughingBirds. Instagram, @LaughingBirdsPod. Facebook, Laughing Birds Podcast. Those are the three main deals. I have not made a Reddit. From everything that I've heard, Reddit is a terrible place full of horrible people. I mean, I don't know if that's true. I know they're ruthless. I know that. Everybody says they stay away from Reddit. Because that's only, like, negative shit goes on over there. But maybe that's once you hit a certain level. I've never searched on Reddit for anything. Or anywhere, for that fact. Other than Google, just to see where does the podcast come up when I put it in. Maintaining a presence on social media makes it easy for people to discover your show and provides a perpetual outlet to promote your content. Some platforms might deserve more attention than others depending on your audience, but don't be shy about where you promote your show. Here's a few suggestions to help you spread the word far and wide. Create a website for your podcast. Already done. Build an email list and send out regular newsletters. Alright. I didn't think we were going to get here so fast, but I'm not doing that. And let me tell you why. Because there's a specific group of people that are on Instagram that I've tried to help in the past, right? Hooked them up with some information and all that shit. So now they follow me on Instagram, whatever. They asked me to put some shit out for them, so I did it. And I kind of felt like I was being used there for a minute, so I stopped doing that and I stopped fucking with them. But now every day, 4 times a day sometimes, I get a fucking message about, oh, our episode's out on this, and check out that, and our sponsors over here, and fuck me off over there. I hate that. I fucking hate that. I don't, when my shit goes up, I don't want to look down and see I got another notification from you. You made your point. So I don't like spamming. What can I possibly say in a newsletter about the podcast? If you're going to show up and listen to it, that's it. Look, it's your job to get there. I'm not going to force any of you, try to strong arm you into what the fuck I'm doing. I don't like when people do that to me, and I'm not going to do that to you. There's no reason to have a fucking newsletter. And unless we were going to do something really big, like I don't even know what, or if it's something like major that pertains to the podcast, then I might do something like that. But even then, I don't want to go collecting your fucking emails. I put it out on my social medias. If you follow it, you follow it. And if you don't, you don't. I mean, that's it. Use relevant hashtags, which will help you none at all whatsoever. Reply to comments. Who you think you're dealing with, bro? That's all my YouTube was. For better or worse. For better or worse, on every fucking thing, I check everything. I talk to the people. I'm not above anybody. post in relevant Facebook and Reddit groups. So that's an odd thing to say. Ugh, Pearl Jam. I don't know what relevant groups would be on Facebook and Reddit. And I've tried to figure out Reddit. I didn't do very well. Reach out to another show to cross promote with them. That doesn't work because most people, I know we've talked about this already, but if you're new around here, spoiler alert, most people don't want to be bothered unless you already have a solid following. Then all of a sudden they expect you to be like, oh yeah, cool, I'll put you on. Even though if it was the other way around, they wouldn't bother with you. And I know this from personal experience because I've tried to get people on to help them. It's not even so much for me, is so we can help each other. And they're like, yeah, no. When you get bigger, then you can try and maybe. It's a waste of time because people are fucking greedy and they're only worried about expanding their own brand. Just very seldomly does it work out, but I'm fine with that, which is why I do it by myself now. I don't have no responsibility for other people. I don't have to worry about it. I just do what I want to do when I want to do it. I say whatever I want, and I'm responsible for it, and that's the end of it. But maybe for your regular folks out in the internet land, that will work for you. As you're starting to grow your audience, consider all the ways which you can build a community around your podcast. Start a hashtag for listeners to participate in the conversation around your show. Ask your audience to send you a voice message in response to a question. By creating opportunities for listeners to engage with your podcast and each other, you can foster a sense of community that rewards your audience and builds a following of dedicated listeners. These guys are filmmakers and create video content to support their podcast. Okay, well, you know what? I've talked to a few people about this. Not a whole lot. But a lot of people that actually YouTube has made a lot of things stale. Look, I'm in the trenches. I talk to the people. I know what's up. And people don't like it when you're like, oh, I'm gonna pose a question for no other reason other than I want your feedback because I can't handle creating a show on my own. People know that it's fake and you're just looking to reach out to them to give them this false sense of entitlement. They don't like that. Now, I do ask genuine questions, which sometimes I get the answers to, sometimes I don't. But if somebody feels the need to, not feels the need, if somebody wants to respond, they know that the fucking option is there. So, what I'm finding out is that I think it's more than me just not being mainstream, is that even these regular rules don't seem to apply to me. I need to write the podcast anarchy book, dude, because that's basically what it is that I'm doing. Everything they tell you not to do, I do. Don't talk about religion. Whoops. Don't talk about politics. Ah, shit. Don't share too much information on your personal life. God damn it. Did it again. Fuck. All that shit. And I don't go heavy into politics. I mostly just roast the idea that people think no matter what side you're on. And I make that very clear. I don't say that as a content creator. That's the way I feel in my life. If I felt a certain way to be enough on either side, then that's what it would be. But I don't trust either of them, so Create additional content. Creating additional content offers more opportunities to promote your show and makes it easier for people. I guess that's a typo. Makes it easier for people to discover your show. Consider creating a blog for your podcast that features episode transcripts and routine updates about your show. Capture photos of your podcast process and post them on Instagram to give listeners behind the scenes glimpse into your episode. Consider making a video of you recording your podcast episode, posting transcripted anchor videos on social media and on your website. Get creative with your topic and approach your show from a new angle with images, videos, and other non-audio content. Yeah, like, okay, I get it, but those two people needed somebody else to take the picture. So that doesn't do good for me. Because I'm the only one here. I don't have a guy running a board. Okay, I wear all of the. You only see one. I wear all of the hats. Okay, I come up with a premise for what I'm going to talk about. I execute the conversation. After I'm done with that, I go in, I edit all the dumb noises and all the extra shit that doesn't need to be there. Go back in and post-production and throw in sound effects or commentary, calling myself out or whatever the situation calls for. Cut clips for social media. I do all of this on my own, dude. All of it. Nobody, I got no help nowhere. This is what it is. I mean, I've gotten topic suggestions, which, I mean, there's some of them that I haven't gotten to yet. But those are going to be like deep dive in shit. Like all October, I did conspiracy theories. You know, just because that's a cool thing to share. But so look, I'm not hating on this. You know, I see a lot of people doing this. As a matter of fact, at podcast_highlights, I think, on Instagram. This person shares people's clips, photos of their work setup, you know, their editing process, the whole deal. They do all that shit. And these people all have other people involved. There's one guy is running a board, another guy is just running social media accounts. Another two personalities are the ones that are on the microphone. You know, I do all of this. Welcome a guest. A guest can be a great way to expand your listening audience. Guests can be friends, experts in a field, or someone you always dreamed of talking to. Encourage your guests to promote the podcast episode they are on, which will help tap into their following and make it easier for them to promote you by giving them a mini press kit, assets that can be easily posted, suggested copy, a link to the episode, your awesome cover art, an interesting quote from an interview, and a special photo from the recording session. Did you guys just take everything that Joe Rogan does and put it in an article? I mean, fuck, man. Except for the press kit part, because he doesn't do press for shit. He just does. He's a gangster, dude. He does whatever the fuck he wants to do, and people love it. But that's, 10 years in the making. People think like Joe Rogan just woke up one day and all of a sudden he was a conglomerate podcaster. Like, nah, dude, this shit took 10 plus years in the making for it to get where it is now. You know your podcast is big when you're in a fucking Netflix movie. Be it for all of a couple of seconds, but it doesn't matter, dude. That's crazy. to go from talking in your fucking living room with a couple of your friends to now having the ability to make careers. Joe Rogan's podcast is bigger than any Tonight Show on the airwaves right now. Guaranteed. That's not even up for discussion. That's a fact, dude. And if you don't think so, go look at the numbers to your favorite late night show versus the numbers that Joe Rogan gets on his fucking YouTube podcast, and then come back and talk to me. But to go back and cover this, sorry, my throat is burning. I woke up this morning, it's starting to get scratchy because the weather is going from 20 degrees to 60 degrees to 30, back up to 50 again, and it's all over. This time of the year fucks us every year without fail. By February, the latest, I'm in the doctor's office on a bad year twice. Good year once, round of steroids, the cough syrup, antibiotics, the whole shit. Nightmare. But okay, so I should definitely write down, I should throw a press kit together for people, but it's hard enough just to get them to come on the show by itself. Then it's another matter of being able to execute it, because I noticed that, you know, I guess a lot of other people don't have internet problems where their shit just cuts off right in the middle of it, where you gotta restart it 8 times while you're trying to talk to somebody. Like, dude, that's embarrassing, man. Horrible. But, you know, I'll throw it together just in case, I guess. I gotta do something. But I'm pushing away the idea of guests for a while, because it just makes it a lot more complicated. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are days where I'm like, fuck, I wish I had a guest. It would make this so much easier just to let somebody else talk for a little while. But, you know, then if it falls through, or they decide they don't want to do it at the last minute, which has happened plenty of times, or they gotta push it, then, you know, you're fucked. So you gotta figure it out. Okay, where were we at? Cover art, special photo, recording. Tweet your guests and tag them. They'll be more likely to retweet, share it to their followers. And most of them don't, by the way. I've only had the dude from Forever Able. He retweeted shit, but I know him from when we were kids. So, you know, I think that's part of the reason why he did it. That, and the fact that, you know, they're starting out local band that's trying to help them. You know, but other than that, I've had other people on who don't give a fuck. Like, they'll say they'll do it, but they don't. And if they do, it'll be one time and it doesn't seem to change anything. Or at least I don't know, because I don't know how to look at my numbers to see how many downloads I'm getting or anything like that across all of the platforms. Remember to keep tabs on your past guests. When something big happens for them, congratulate them publicly, reshare their episode. Similarly, keep track of the holidays, micro moments, and current events that are relevant to your podcast and post about. Well, hold on. I gotta stop you there. Because when I don't keep tabs on people I've had on because I want to look good. Like, I genuinely, like, Traveling Cannabis, those were people that I followed before I even started the podcast. So, you know, by continuing to follow them and share their I do that because I genuinely like what they do. And they're great people. They were a pleasure to have on. So, you know, that's no problem. But I don't do that out of hopes of them being like, oh, I hope this helps my podcast. No, that's fake and I don't like that. But I understand what you're saying. Some people don't understand that, these are things that you should do. But do it because you want to, not because you think you're going to get something out of it. Because even a small gesture like that, people can see through that. And you don't want to be that guy. Right? You don't want that. Making connections. It's all about making connections with your show. Become relevant, reliable, and a source of information for your listeners. I am not the news. Alright, I am not the news. I'm just going to put that out there. In case you were unaware, I know just as much as you probably do. Or for most people that are out on the internet, in the interwebs, playing around in internet land, you know more than I do. Because you are the almighty knower of knowledge. And you just exist in a YouTube comment section so that you may bestow your almighty knowledge onto peons that are beneath you. That's how a lot of people act. I don't understand it, man. What's the first thing you do after dropping a new podcast episode? 81% of people said post it on social. 5% text all your friends. 2% email the link. 12% yell from the mountaintops. And that's 326 votes. Okay, so the first thing I do after dropping a new podcast episode, I mean, it depends. Sometimes I don't do anything. I will wait. I'll literally put an episode out. And then if I can remember to do it, I will go on Twitter to waste my time because it's completely useless. And I will put the link for the podcast and the title and be like, all right, now this is out. It's Saturday. Get your fucking weekend together. Whatever it is that I say. And this is where you can find it. I'm talking about this, and this. And that's it. It's out in the world. But sometimes I don't even do that because I forget. I used to panic like, oh fuck, I forgot to put it on social media. And then I realized you're in a hurry to do nothing. Nobody gives a shit. If you remember to post it, that's great. But the ideal is here that, unfortunately, I don't think people are going around cruising looking for new podcasts to listen to. Like a lady of the night. I don't think so. Most people, when I even talk about shit that I listen to, they're like, dude, I listen to enough shit already. I don't need another show. I know, like, that's great that they're doing that and we're happy you like it, but I got so much going on over here, dude. I'm up to my ears in content. I don't need any more shit. So you gotta try to fit in someplace. But, social media works, I guess. The Instagram seems to do... The links get clicks, supposedly. But I think most of that is from Instagram. And I cut clips out. It doesn't have a schedule. And the reason why it doesn't have a schedule is because I don't want to put that added pressure on myself because the main focus, since I'm wearing all the hats, is I don't want a press run to take away from the main thing that we're doing here. Because if I half-ass a fucking podcast and I put all my energy into social media promoting, putting 100% effort into a half-ass podcast doesn't make sense. That's bad math. I'd rather put 100% effort into a podcast, half-ass the social media, and whoever's going to pick up on it is going to pick up on it. That's it. Because I know I am not most people's first choice, okay? I know it's going to be a shock for you to believe this, but I was picked last in gym class. And spoiler alert, for those of you, if you may be out there, if you still have gym class, what the hell are you doing here? Don't you got homework to do? You should not be listening to Beat Dog. YouTube would not be very happy about that. But usually life continues down that road where you get picked last for a lot of shit. Most people don't like my out there opinions on things, and that's fine. That's why there's many different types of content for many different types of people. Put yourself out there. Participating in a podcast community and bringing up your podcast in social spaces is crucial way to expand your audience. In addition to having guests on your show, go ahead and offer yourself up as a guest on other podcasts. Try to attend events, meetups, and conferences related to podcasting. When you're there, introduce yourself and your show to others. It is important to be your podcast's biggest advocate by promoting your show wherever you can and by building meaningful connections with people in the podcast world. Well, I'm definitely not going to meetups so that somebody can beat me over the head with a tire iron and shove me into their trunk. I'm not doing any of that. Look, I am not my biggest advocate at all. I think a lot of this shit, it depends. It depends on the mood that I'm in. If I'm in a good mood, then cool. What I do is fantastic. If I'm in a bad mood, then everything sucks, and I don't know why anybody would listen to this. But that's my own struggle. Another thing that a lot of people don't talk about. The struggle of the day-to-day. Trying to keep faith in what it is that you're doing when you're trying to get other people to buy into it. It's rough, dude. Giving a talk somewhere, mentioning your podcast, chatting with coworkers, find a way to bring up your show. See, no. You don't want to be that guy either. You don't want to beat them over the head with your podcast every chance that you get. Most people, like, if you throw in a little mention, like if somebody says, "Well, what do you do?" Like, I'm doing a podcast thing. If you want, I'll send you a link for it. And that's it. Don't beat them over the head with that, because then you're the podcast guy. Podcast then becomes your religion. Like, he start telling you about the podcast and how it's going to save your life, and it's the only way for you to truly be happy is to listen to this podcast. Find a way to bring up your show when you go to concerts or festivals. Consider bringing along some flyers or wearing your podcast merch. Well, I have to make some first, but I've considered doing that just because I think the logos are so out there would actually work. If you have some, get permission to post flyers or cards with info about your show on local community boards, coffee shops, and libraries. Yeah, but my show is not... The problem with not being clean and not being PC, a lot of these rules apply to people who can't get canceled or won't get canceled right away. I can't share my shit. I'm not for the average person, so I can't go to these public places, and that would be like, we're putting out a flyer because I'm going to be filming a snuff film in my basement in a half an hour. If you want to come by and watch, you know what I mean? I don't even know what a snuff film is. I shouldn't have said that. I know it's dirty, whatever it is. Spread the love in the podcasting community by promoting other people's show and content. There's always a possibility they'll return the favor. Again, 90% of the time, no, they won't. If you're posting about your podcast on social, make sure you tag Anchor. We're always looking to spread the word about great new shows. Well, I don't think I've ever done that, so maybe I will. No, I did it once on Instagram, so maybe I'll start tagging you. If you're looking, but that's because it gets your name out there. So I see what you're up to, you sneaky bitch. But I like you. So anybody that I do talk to, that is even considering starting a podcast, though, I do bring up Anchor. Like, that's my religion. I'll be like, dude, well, if you're gonna do it, go through Anchor and do it that way because it's free, and I was paying for it at first, and it's a fucking thing. It's much better to do it like this, do the app on the go, on the computer, whatever. And, I'll walk them through. Like, these are my big things, bro. Doug showed me Canva, which is how you can make thumbnails, right? Headliner is to cut clips. We found that one together, so we use that for the Twitter and the Instagram. What else is there? I think that's pretty much all that I know, now that I think about it. Headliner, Canva, and Anchor. Those are like the three big ones that I tell people about. Because, it's rough when you think that you gotta pay for bandwidth, and especially if there's no audience, there's no guarantee you're gonna make an income. I mean, even at my level. And they'll even sponsor you for up to $15. It's not a live read. I'm just telling you the facts, dude. If you're looking for an easy way to share your podcast, your Anchor profile is a great place to start. It's a streamlined home for all content related to your show, including links to all your social medias, a designated spot for your podcast trailer, colorful background that's designed to match podcast cover art. Customize your profile according to your own creative vision and share it everywhere to showcase all of your podcast content with a single link. Okay. Well, first of all, this is all new. I've heard rumblings that Anchor was bought by Spotify. Actually, I think I got an email from Anchor saying they were bought by Spotify. So now they're connecting social medias to everything because everybody wants your information now. That's a fact. You can get mad if you want. It's what it is. So I don't know if Spotify has something to do with that. I'm not sure. But I know that, that's what prompted me to make a Facebook page today. Was the fact that, like, well, I have it. I might as well plug it in because I don't want to put my own name on there just because, it's confusing and, I say a lot of shit. So I forgot what else. Oh, the color background. I'm not sure how to change it, but I'm sure it looks alright. Oh, Bitly is the other thing that I use as well. That's a link shortener, which is a fucking really handy tool to use because the last thing you need if you're trying to put a trailer out on social media is for your link to be a paragraph long. That's no good. That'll shorten it right up. It's free. You can get a premium version, but if you're broke like me, create a trailer. I thought about doing this. Trailers are an easy way to hook new listeners by giving them a sneak preview of what your show is all about. Creating a trailer is also a chance to pinpoint the unique value of your podcast, to practice pitching your show under concise constraints. Well, I'm very bad at that. When somebody asks me, what's your show about? I stutter and drop the ball every single time. I don't really know what to say. I just, most of the time I'm just like, dude, I talk about literally damn near anything because I don't ever want to shut anybody out. Even if what you want to talk about goes against something that I believe in, I would still want to talk to you. I don't want it to be an echo chamber. We don't have to agree for you to be able to speak. So, that's important. So I tell everybody, like, anything is on the table, whatever you want to do. Well, almost anything. Because, The people know where I'm at on the strong issues that everybody cares about. No gag noises. Ugh. Creating a trailer is also a chance to pinpoint the unique value of your podcast, practice your pitch. When you record a trailer with Anchor, will automatically send you a transcribed animated video that brings your words to life. What is this? I didn't know about this. The fuck, man? We gotta look into this because I didn't know that was an option. So that means they caption it too? Optimize for social media. Post it everywhere. Spread the word. Check out these tips on recording a great trailer. What is? Let's sing. Let's sing. Oh. Now I gotta sign up for this shit. I'll do that later because I don't. Unless Medium is now an Anchor thing, you gotta be better with tell me about this kind of stuff, man. Because I'm on it, dude. Nobody's numbers look like that. Nobody's numbers look like that. Come on, bro. A steady climb, pretty much. That doesn't look realistic at all. You want to see what a real deal thing looks like? That's more realistic right there. Look at that. Up, down, hard crash, then strong back up, crash again for a while, back up again, crash, crash. That's kind of healthy, I think. I don't know. I try not to pay attention to that stuff because then I get discouraged. Track your stats. Which, you know what? Here's the thing. If you want to let me know where you all are at and what else that it is that you're into, I'm curious to know. So you can send voice messages on Anchor or write on YouTube, somewhere else, whatever you want to do. Tweet at me, Instagram, whatever. If you need to hide it, you don't want other people to know, my DMs are available, dude. It's alright, I get it. Take some time to consider what podcast success means to you and measure it accordingly. What metrics are important to you? They could be quantitative, like your subscriber count or the number of total episode plays, or maybe it's high ranking on podcast platforms or engaged listenership. Determine your baseline of success and grow your audience with that intention in mind. If your idea of success is generating sponsorship revenue, you might want to grow towards a particular CPM. If you're especially interested in hearing how your show has impacted listeners, growing an audience might be strategy, outreach, and engagement. Anchor's built-in analytics dashboard makes it easy. If your show is on Spotify, additional insights. Yeah, I don't think so, dude, because I don't get shit from Spotify. But then Google did some shit where they fucked everything up. So now I don't know where to go to do what anymore. No matter how you measure success, remember that sustained audience requires time and effort. It might take a while before your podcast takes off, and that's okay. So drive yourself crazy and focus only on the numbers. These people don't know. The person that wrote this, I guarantee you, does not have a podcast or is extremely successful in everything that they fucking do. Because nowhere in here does it show where every time you go to sign on, if all you're doing is looking at your numbers, you're gonna quit rather quickly. And you know what else? I was thinking about this earlier today. podcast is like one of the only forms of mediums that, or however that sentence is supposed to go, is the only medium where we constantly have to reinvent what we're doing, and 99% of the time not get any feedback back. Was that joke funny? Did that thing work? Did you hate it? Did you enjoy it? None of that. There's none of that. So I have no idea what works and what doesn't work. Now, again, I don't need somebody coming at me and being like, oh, don't say this, don't do that. Been down that road, don't want to go down there again. Look, did you enjoy it? Cool. If not, why not? And don't be a dick, okay? You know what I mean? Like, is this shit even funny? I don't know. I just do what kind of makes me laugh, and then hopefully, through that process, you know, that will make you laugh, maybe. With a positive attitude and consistent promotion, you can begin to gather new listeners. When in doubt, remember why you got started in the first place. Your podcast is something to be proud of, whether you have 1 or 1 million listeners. Check out our How to Start a Podcast guide for more tips and tricks on how to become a successful show with Anchor. Well, I don't know, dude. There's a lot here. There's a lot here, but it's not going into the last sentence in this whole thing should have been spoken, in my opinion, a little bit more. Whether you're one person or a million people, there's a reason why you started doing whatever it is that you're doing. I always wanted to do radio. Didn't want to be a movie star. Couldn't be a stand-up comic, although I do think I kind of live a stand-up's life in the sense that things that happen in my life could probably immediately be turned into a bit by any of the great comics that I like. You know, Soder, Okerson, anybody. Rawlings, Tim Dillon, fucking million comics, dude. Well, not a million, decent amount. You know, I started doing this shit because, like, fuck it. There's a bunch of different reasons why. Partially because people weren't taking time off and I didn't have anything to listen to. The other part of it was the radio thing. The other part of it was I wanted to have something to do to keep myself busy. Find a hobby. You know, get something to take my attention. Something I want to make something I could be proud of. Something I built with my own hands. Because I couldn't build a birdhouse. But I could do this. I could talk. And, you know, I'm not going to be pleasing everybody all the time. But it's an ongoing thing. I don't know where this is going to end up. And that's the other thing, too. It's like, well, where do we go? How do I know when it's time to end it? I don't know. It's a good question. I mean, we're only a year in, which doesn't seem like that long, but it's a long time. Especially when you had to go week to week with a brand new thing. Like, I don't think about that a lot, because if I spent any amount of time thinking about how crazy it is, what it is that I'm actually doing, I would fucking have a meltdown, dude. You mean like you're sitting in front of a camera and a microphone and you're talking to people who are not there, who will at some point in the future, later today, tomorrow, or next year, hear this at some point, at some stage in their life, and then maybe stick around. But you won't know. You have no idea what's going to work, what's not. who's showing up, who's leaving, why are they going? Was it something you said? 100%. Dude, this is really starting to bother me, man. Ugh, it's gonna get worse over the next couple of days. It's a good thing I already have a bunch of shit recorded because I don't know how bad this is going to get. But that's the other reason. Nothing about pre-recording in here. I know a lot of people like to do things fresh week to week, but there's something you have to remember. There's things that you can't always account for. You might get sick. You might not be able to get out of bed. Maybe you gotta, you know, I don't know. Maybe you couldn't get out of work. Or you have to be somewhere. You get held up wherever you're at. And for some reason, you don't have time to go in the Anchor app and record a podcast and put it out. You gotta always have something. You don't have to, but it helps to have something backed up for the people who might rely on it. And don't worry about it if you're not getting, feedback and comments from people because chances are they're out there, they're just not saying anything. Just because they're not, the amount of time that it takes to sign into a thing, write a comment, think about what you want to say, write a comment. It's a long time. It's a long time. It doesn't seem like it is, but it is. So, don't let the idea that it's not there discourage you. You could still have people, and you might not even know. You might not even know. I'm in places that I didn't even know existed a year ago. That's just a fact because I'm ignorant. But nonetheless, it's still a fact. You never know who you're going to reach or why it is that you reached them. So, keep that in mind, dude. This was supposed to be a quick thing, and here I am an hour later, still running my mouth, but my throat is really starting to bother me. So, I'm gonna shut up for a while, try to see if the icebreaker will help me out, and maybe I'll have to walk to the store later and get some hauls just to try to get through this. Maybe if I shut up for a while, that would help, right? Never know.